Alright, so I'm building a new workbench because I mentioned it a while ago. This one is not very sturdy. It's also just nasty to top. It's not even flat, never was. I'm building a style after Paul Sellers' workbench, and if you're looking for a good workbench, a very sturdy one, I'd recommend checking out his video series. You should be able to get that just by typing in Paul Sellers' workbench. But I'm ready to start on the legs. So I've bought a few 2x4s, and these are the cheapest ones you can get at Lowe's. I'm sure Home Depot probably has better ones for the same price, but Lowe's is closer to me, so that's where I go. This one here is one of the worst ones. The worst four are the ones I set aside for the legs, and it's still got a pretty good side, so that side will go out. But this one is one for the aprons that go on the side of the bench. I'll show you what they are. As you can see, even with the cheapest ones that you can buy, you still, if you're very careful how you pick through the pile, can get some good ones. So let me show you the two bench tops. Alright, so this is how it's going to go together. I've decided I want 5'6" with my bench because that fit about the size I need. But if you've watched WranglerStars channel, he's making the same bench. Well, he made the same bench. He went 6 foot with his, which would have probably been the best idea. And Paul Sellers, who came up with the bench design, he went 8 foot. So you can really change this to any dimensions you need. But I had a lot of 4-quarter pine laying around that was kiln dried. So instead of buying all 2x4s, which I'd have to go out and buy, I used this I had around. I planed top and bottom. I glued them up. So obviously I used a lot more since it's only 4-quarter. It's not 1.5 inches like a 2x4. But I glued them up. I planed them down. All I got to do yet is give this a light hand planing. And then I'll probably sand it with a really fine grit. And I'm going to use boiled linseed oil to finish it. So you've got both work surfaces. And in the middle you have this, it's called a well board, and you can store your smaller tools in there. Don't have much laying out here now, but my chisels are all underneath. But say you can put a small saw, a couple chisels, and I'll have more about that later. But that's just a bunch of them glued together. It's just a lot thinner. What else do I gotta say about this? I'm going to be putting in an end vise on one of the sides. Well, you can probably see this. I'll put an end vise in like over here with a row with the holes, going through the bench, so I can put dogs wherever I want in it and clamp it down. And I'll be putting a face vise on this side here as well, but closer to the end. I'll be putting one of them there. And I might put a smaller vise on this corner of the bench as well. That one's a maybe. That vise and that vise are definitely going on. And I'm going to put up the one apron board that I have. So you can see how that's going to go. This is just 3 2x4s, planed and edge glued together. Alright. So what you do with this goes on the legs on either side of the bench top, and you put it about a 16/32 above, and that gets glued on there, and it gets, there's a notch cut out in here. I don't have it cut out yet, like there and like there, that fit into the legs with a wedge, and that when the bench moves side to side, the wedge drops even further and locks it in real solid. And then this is glued onto the top, and you plane it flush, and it adds stability, and I think it really makes it look nicer. That needs a little bit more planing. You can still see some of the gluing, but that's how that's going to work. So let me get all this stuff cleared, and I'll set you back up, and we'll laminate one of the legs. Well, isn't that embarrassing? I turned the camera off between shots, and I left it on the camera mode instead of putting it on the video mode. So you can also put a minute of explanation on that. But I want my bench to be 38 inches high. So my legs have to get 4.5 inches taken off of 38 because the bench top's 3 inches thick and the bearers are going to be 1.5 inches. So that would bring me down 1, 2, 3, 4.5, 33.5. But so I have extra room. I'll go at a full 3 foot. Put my mark. Take my square. My line across. You know what? You didn't see me last time, so this time I'm putting the clamp on. I didn't use a clamp last time, it was getting kind of a pain. So let me get this clamp down tight. So this end was bouncing all over the place. Okay. Now I would normally use a knife wall that I learned from watching Paul Sellers, but since this is a rough cut and it will be cut a few inches shorter, it doesn't matter. And I cut through a knot the whole way, so that'll show you that that saw is a pretty good saw, and I filed it myself. Well, I don't know if you could see it, but there's a bird that lives in my shop, and he just flew into here, landed on my lathe before I fumbled around with the camera to get it turned on, and he was gone. But his nest is right up behind that bottle of antifreeze. I'll try and catch him later. Well, he's over there again. I'll walk through the door and see if I can't get him. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know if you saw him, but he just flew across the doorway. Okay, I'll bring you back for the glue up. I almost did it again. I took a few pictures before I realized why my video wasn't working. But I've got my rehearsal done. All the clamps are set. So the next step is I want to spread the glue on here. And there's many different ways you can do this. But I've done this before, and I've watched Paul Sellers do it, and it seems to be the most effective way to spread glue quickly and effectively. So what you want to do, you do just a zigzag pattern like this. Uh-oh. Might have to refill this glue bottle. Just do a zigzag pattern. And then for wide pieces, you also want to take a length along each edge so you get plenty of coverage. And I should have refilled this glue bottle before doing this, but I thought I had enough. And there's that bird I mentioned. So we're going to try and make this work. Oh. Nope, not going to work. I'll give this a bit of a refill quick. And I used regular Titebond glue for the longest time. I recently switched to this Titebond 2, and I couldn't be happier with it. It's only a few dollars more. I think it's $17 a gallon versus $15. And a gallon goes a long way. So if you're looking for cheap glue that's going to do a good job indoor or outdoor, I'd go with Titebond 2. And I see no need at all to spend $30 a gallon on Titebond 3. No need at all. So you finish those 2 beads. Then what you do, drop this in, and you just run it back and forth a little bit, spread the glue out, even it out. Throw my other 2 clamps on. Just snug them up. Don't need to make them tight at this point. Snug all the clamps up. Get them about lined up. It doesn't need to be perfect. That's why we left plenty of extra. And then go through and tighten all your main clamps, like so. Get them all tight. And then what I like to do on the ends is take a couple of these smaller clamps on each end, one on each end, sometimes two, depending on the width, and add them to it. And that seems to do a pretty respectable job of holding it. That one's not good. Got glue stuck to it. There we go. Nope. Okay. Glue sticks to them a bit more than more expensive clamps because there's nothing fancy on it. But you can get this clamp, which is an 18-inch clamp from Harbor Freight, for like $2. So that's why I got them. And these aluminum ones are the same ones that Paula Sellers used on his. I always thought you had to buy expensive ones, but these are only $10 a piece for a 24-inch clamp. And I have never had trouble with one. So let me bring you closer. Okay. Oh, sorry about that. Trying to hold the camera on a stick, it's rather difficult. So you can see, right in the grooves of the 2x4s, glue's oozed up evenly around, basically. Pretty even. So I'll let that sit for an hour. I'll take it off and I'll clamp it. This is what I'm going to use for the bearers. Remember that forge building video? Well, this is a board, well, a 2x4, that I've milled out of one of the logs that washed up there. This was only out of like a 6-inch log. Well, I apologize, the camera died, but as you can see, not a bad 2x4. So I'm going to go edit this on my new computer that I got. Edit the video, upload it. Hopefully I can upload a higher quality video. I'll probably make another video today and either upload it today or tomorrow. So I'll see you on the next video.